Well, YouTube, Therefore Site here. Getting back into the Deborah and Quinnby story. Due to the fact that I was watching Unsolved Worcester, this video had came up the other day and I knew I had to watch it to see what they said. And first off, of course, we'll start off with 1977. Give you a briefing. I do have all my videos up on this case. Even stuff that I've found that is not in, the article, nor is it in Unsolved Worcester. That's what you get out of my other videos. But what I don't have, and what I did not read, was, that in 1973, and I've covered this case too, along with other 73 murders, that Deborah Ann Quinnby's father was grandfather was supposedly in the school committee. And I believe it was the school that Deborah Ann Quinnby attended at the time. And the teacher from 1973 also attended that same committee. Now, whether or not there's anything related with in between these two and the missing of Deborah Ann Quinnby is the question. If there is any indication that her grandfather maybe, or even, the killing of the teacher had something to do with it. And the only thing I could come up with is that the teacher may have found out something about him, but for his own granddaughter to come up missing, there would have to be really something very extreme that maybe Deborah did, or who knows, maybe would have embarrassed. And there is one theory that comes up that I believe was not mentioned in one of my articles that I read in one of my videos. I think it came up as a comment. But there's speculation that Deborah could have been found out to be pregnant. Like I said, if you want the full videos, go check out my other videos on this. Because if that was the case, and yes, back in them days, up until the late 80s, 90s, if you became pregnant, you became a disgrace, especially at a young age. That's how it rolled back in the olden days. I found out some stories throughout my family history, becoming pregnant at a young age. And sometimes you will get disowned, or you will probably, and I'm not certain, come up missing. But to find out this information on this case, especially a 1973 murder, and then, jump ahead 4 years, and there's the, disappearance of a girl. Who knows? And then there's my theory that there could have been a serial killer. And in one of my videos, I speak of in these 1973 murders, because there was quite a few, and not too far from, Lunenburg Street in Fitchburg. I still have to somehow see if I can find the house to give details, and I haven't done that yet. But yeah, there was a multiple. I could have sworn I read that them 1973 murders were of strangulation, but it was multiple stab wounds, and But I could have sworn I read something about strangulation. There was a guy that was with a woman back in them days throughout the towns in, Fitchburg area. And they said it in the Unsolved Whistler that he murdered his girlfriend at the time. Or they broke up or something and slit her throat. But, right, if he was a serial killer, I think that was a bit of rage. Something must have happened in their love, triangle that, made the guy flip. But if he was a serial killer, then right, where's the DNA testing genealogy? DNA would solve everything. But I don't know where they were going, because they were doing 2 cases in one video. And, right, they had to bring up the other women that were murdered around in that time. But to find out, though, now that this grandfather had some, interaction with this 1973 murder, it's like, ooh. But also, you can't, and this ain't in the article either, and I believe someone commented on this too, about Deborah and Quinnby could have babysat the infamous killer Daniel LaPlante. And if anybody don't know that kid, I cover him too. And mind you, I got a comment that at the time, I wasn't even thinking of screenshotting it, and I should have. Because once I tapped on it, it was erased. And I was pissed. Because that comment told me to stop doing what I'm doing. And I will not. And that was a threat. And I could just imagine who was behind the comment. Because if anybody don't know Mr. Daniel LaPlante, he murdered a teacher, mind you, a mother of 2 and an expecting baby, not too far from that 1973 murder of the teacher. And not only that, his family lived in that town. So, I mean, I know when they did the Daniel LaPlante documentary, but I think, did they mention that? I don't know. I know I read it too. I think they might add in the documentary if you want to check it out. Is that when the police searched his house, they were sleeping on, mattresses on the floor. The house was just dirty. And there was a lot of pornography hanging around the floor. Magazines, dirty stuff, sickness. And a lot of times, that's right, folks. A lot of times, pornography is what leads to serial killers. Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer. It's sick. But for this girl to might have babysat, and it's not, I would say it's not proven, but someone had to have known, because I believe this someone lived in Townsend at that time. And I found the camp. I think someone also mentioned that the camp that I and Unsolved Worcester and the article says might have been the wrong camp. And that's also covered in my videos. There's a opening that I found on a road that would have led to a camp, or it looked like a area of, possible interest. But there was also another camp that was more on 119. And I found that camp. Someone was commenting me, and that's the camp. I have tried to reach out to the head detective on this case. Never got a response. I'm going to try again, because of the simple fact is, right, I am very interested in this case. It is, similar to, the Taj Narbonne story I cover. Because here we have 2 kids end up missing, body never found. Someone else also commented on my video that they should have checked the river. I don't know if they have, but I know in Unsolved Worcester, when I watched that video yesterday, they said extended search, but they never said nothing about the river. And it all went up into New Hampshire, the surrounding area that Townsend runs into. I mean, they did do a big search, but... And then later on, right, there was a letter, anonymous letter, to check the pond that I think now it may be dried up. But there was a landfill-type dump transfer station also in my videos, where they found the teacher's car from 1973. And it was near the pond where they said, check the pond. And, they drained that pond. They did find a 10-speed. I believe it was not the one that she was riding. Someone else's. So that was a mislead. That was something stupid. And, someone might have known something, but they had their information wrong. I mean, the river would be probably the more, because of the simple fact that I believe that Deborah took a shortcut back way, because of the simple fact of going down Route 119 and all the traffic, which, yes, they say that she was on that route. But also there's a back road that they said she was on, and a hill, and this curve. And, oh man, it pisses me off, because I read an article that described that curve and hill in a word I never heard of. And it disappeared. The article in that word disappeared for some reason. I might have it on video, but I know I have on video that I said that disappeared also back then too. And that's why I do videos like this, because sometimes articles are misled. They say stuff and then change stuff, or let alone disappear. And oh man, there's so many articles that I've done in the past, that stuff that was said that disappeared, and then I got people, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. That ain't what happened, but it said it, and it disappeared. So I mean, that's why I try my best to, if I see something, I either screenshot it or record it now, so I don't lose nothing. So people will not sit there and say, you're making that up. I've had people say I'm making it up, but I'm not making it up. I'm reading articles and sharing back. And it's good to do that, because, right, when people say stuff in articles, then they just all take that down due to the fact that they're probably, right, the admin maybe they found out something that they wrote that was not true, or they just want to write stuff for clickbait, right? And that's probably what it all is, but there's a lot of things that was missing in Unsolved Worcester that I know of. And these certain railroad tracks that I found that is en route to the camp. And I believe she took them railroad tracks for the simple fact that also she, as they claim and say, the article's not me, that she was supposed to meet up with somebody. And I think that person said, we'll meet on the railroad tracks. Because, right, they knew what they were going to do, and they knew, right, how to do it without getting caught. And them railroad tracks have been down even in 1977 because of the simple fact that that Bigfoot story happened. And I believe them railroad tracks that lead through towns in New Hampshire, up to Winchendon, mind you, I believe them are the tracks that someone spoke of a Bigfoot sighting, which I've been trying my damnedest to find, because I want to go back on them tracks, but I cannot find them for the life of me. I even have old maps. There is a place that a buddy of mine, new friend, haven't met him yet. I wish I could. I believe my man Dave from Vermont was telling me of this place in Ashburnham, but I can't find that either, because there's a switchback railroad there. But anyways, these tracks I think have been down since even in the year of 77. So I believe she crossed them tracks. And yes, it does go over the river. They speak of Squannacook, I believe it is. The Squannacook River. And them tracks go right over the river. Have a video up of it, if you want to check it out. I'm meaning to go back and do a ghost hunt there, especially near the river. Because if she was killed on them tracks, I should get a spirit. She died right on them tracks. And if that is the place, and if they happen to, right, throw that body in the river, and you got to remember, it could be where she is. Because once them rivers start to flow, bodies will travel downriver unless they get stuck in a tree or some roots hanging in the river. Because there was a place out here, that's a body found in the Nashua River, not too far from me where I live. And a kid was found in the river hanging on a tree type thing. And he died drowning, but he got caught up and they found him. He was missing for a while. I think like 4 or 5 days, and then they found him in the river near the bed on some type of tree root. So there could be a possibility, and I would say that is probably the best place to search, is that river. And that's why I want to get a hold of police, ask them, did you ever check the river? But as you can see, there's so many directions in this case, because you got Daniel LaPlante and his family. You got this teacher and the grandfather in the school committee, and who knows what happened there. And you got whatever Deborah Ann Quinnby at the time. You got what was she going through. And they had to mention and make the point that Deborah here, as that might be a 12 maybe year old, maybe not the picture of this 77, but they had to make a note to mention that this girl looked more 17 than her age. And it's like, okay. Yeah, don't get me wrong, some girls do mature more. They get to looking more grown up. But I mean, it sucks that, people take advantage of the innocence of a kid. Just because they mature more, look more, there's some perverts out there. And it makes me sick. And I like to take care of each and every one of them. But if she did happen to grow up a little faster, and right, there you go. That's where the pregnancy thing comes in. Yep. Hey, and then the disgrace back in the day. You put all that together, knit it up in a ball. There's your motive for disappearance. Because if you got someone in a high power, and there was another 73 murder, mind you, that someone relayed a message to, but it was in Rutland, Mass. And town official could have been behind it. Because someone couldn't keep their dirtiness to themselves and had an affair. And unfortunately, a mother and daughter lost their lives. So what could have been, right, going on with Deborah? Probably to displease her grandfather. And on the way, because he probably knew she was coming, or let alone had somebody meet here. Or it could be the fact that whoever got Deborah, if it's true, pregnant, didn't want to get busted. There you go. There's so many scenarios, so many things you can go on by here. Taking the fact that it could even be a serial killer from 73 stabbing people, but we'll never know because the body was never found. And until that day comes, even though then, hopefully, not trying to make disrespect, but hopefully, whoever did this, and if it was a serial killer and he did the stabbing like the other women, hopefully one of the knife wound or stabs dug so deep it went to the bone. So, trying not to make it sound, bad, but hopefully that will be something that, because one of these women got stabbed 17, 18 times. So hopefully something scarred a bone, so something could get proven. But whatever the case may be, very interesting story. Very sad story. And right, oh man, you just, no words. No words for this. No words for any missing person. But it's close to home for me, and around 77, I was 4 years old. And that's when I had my ghost encounters, so hopefully one day I can get out here. I'm going to try my best due to time, but I want to get back on them goddamn tracks. I know right where they are. And that 4K camera, boy. So, till that next video, be safe. Take care always. Beware, because, right, cases like this make you wonder. Make you think. And it just sucks to say that it still goes on to this day. You gotta keep them eyes open, people, and fist up. I recommend anybody and everybody to get some self-defense system going for yourself. So, if there is any kind of attacker, you can have that brutality back on them. Show them you're not messing around. And, kick their ass. Hopefully bring some zip ties with you so you can hog tie the son of a bitch and then call the cops. But too bad it ain't like Germany, where women like this can attack and get back and kill their attackers. That would be nice. How about lawmakers make that a law here so women can just have a life and not disappear, let alone get raped and have traumatizing life. Be safe, people. Whoop. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. I hit the wrong button. In all seriousness, let's have a moment of silence once again for this. I will be getting back in touch with the police on this. Hopefully I can get through to someone. Other than that, folks, see you on the next one. Out. Oop. Damn button. Out. Shit.